Hello, I am Dr. Khalilah Jefferson DNP. Today, I would like to discuss accident or neglect, rethinking pediatric cannabis ingestion. Imagine this: a toddler arrives in the emergency department, lethargic, unsteady, barely responsive. The parents are terrified. Hours ago, this child was playing on the floor. Now they're hooked up to monitors. A urine screen comes back positive, marijuana. And suddenly the room shifts because the next question isn't just medical, it's legal. Are we going to be reported to CPS? As healthcare providers, we are mandated reporters. That means if we have reasonable suspicion of abuse or neglect, we are legally required to report. But here's where evidence and nuance matters because not every accidental ingestion is the same. Let's start with what the research tells us. Accidental cannabis ingestion in children is not rare and it's increasing. A systematic review of over 3,500 pediatric cases found that most children exposed were under age 3, and the most common symptoms were lethargy, ataxia, and altered mental status. PubMed 1. Some of these children required ICU care. Some required intubation. PubMed 1. This is not benign, and the trend is rising. In the United States, reported pediatric cannabis exposures increased from fewer than 1,000 cases in 2009 to over 22,000 in 2024. People.com, too. Why? Because many exposures involve edibles that look like candy, gummies, cookies, chocolates. PubMed 1. To a toddler, there is no difference. So, as providers, we're not just asking what happened. We're asking, was this preventable? Evidence shows that most ingestions occur in the home and are linked to accessible and properly stored cannabis products. And that's where clinical judgment comes in because mandated reporting is not triggered by the substance alone, it's triggered by risk. If a child accessed marijuana that was left within reach, stored like food, or part of a pattern of unsafe supervision, that may meet criteria for neglect. But if this was a single accidental exposure with otherwise safe home conditions and caregivers who respond appropriately, then the situation may not meet the threshold for a report. Here's the challenge: research tells us these cases are increasing. Law tells us we must protect children. But ethics tells us something else. We must not confuse fear with safety, because when families are afraid of being reported, they may delay care. They may withhold information, and that can make outcomes worse. So our role becomes more than clinical. We become interpreters of risk. We say, my job is to make sure your child is safe. I'm going to ask some questions about how this happened, not to accuse, but to assess. And sometimes, yes, a report is necessary, not as punishment, but as protection. Because evidence shows that repeated or preventable exposures can signal a broader safety concern. But sometimes the most important intervention isn't CPS, it's education, safe storage, honest conversation. Because legalization has changed access, but it has not changed responsibility. So the real question isn't, do we report every case? The real question is, does this child remain at risk if nothing changes? And how we answer that, guided by evidence, law, and compassion, determines not just what we do next, but how we protect both the child and the trust families place in us.